To produce retro motorbikes, which means an old school looking and modern technologies mixture, it's a very fashionable thing nowadays. At BMW it's called Heritage line, and now arrived the king of this line, the BMW R18, which is because of its size, how is it looking, the demonstrative outlook of it and everything else, and also from the technical side and also from the enjoyment side, it's a very new level and a very special motorbike. As BMW Motorrad has a really long history, they didn't want to go back only to the 50th or 60th years. They went back before the Second World Wars era, where it was really a golden era of BMW Motorrad. They had several speed world records and everything else, and they had one motorbike which was born in 1936, the model R5. And that model's looking was coming absolutely back in this R18, which just because of this really became an absolutely iconic motorbike. We can have a look at to the absolutely well seeable huge engine block, the two boxer cylinders coming out to the side from it, the front telescopic forks, their forms and everything else. The very low and big seat, of course here we cannot see that shock absorbing seat from leather, but it will be available for the R18. The nearly no suspension looking rear section, the silencers, which are absolutely the same as in the case of the R5, and maybe the dot on the eyeliner is these white lines on the side of the black fuel tank. So the whole silhouette, all the spare parts are absolutely the same as it was on the R5. The first pleasure is coming immediately when you start the R18. Just check out. The boxer is moving in that direction, and you can ride two different ways with the R18. The first one, and maybe the more elegant one, is the cruising style, when you always switch up the higher gears pretty early, you keep a low RPM and cruise with the bike like a real gentleman. The sound of this boxer, the big boxer of BMW, is really just the same as it was the very old BMW bikes. Maybe the R80 and the R100 were the last pieces which had the same sound. Music is a better word than a sound or the noise. Noise is not typical for this bike. It is always making a music when you gear down. Check out. So all the sounds which are coming out from the engine itself and the silencers are all beautiful. The curves are not maybe the strongest point of the R18. Because the lean ability of the bike is not too much, so in roundabouts you have to take care about not to put the foot peg down on the tarmac. It's very easy to do it. The other way how you can use the bike, and let's check out, nobody is coming behind me, that I go back to 50 kilometers per hour. The RPM is 1700, 800, and now I pull a throttle, not a full throttle, but the sound is changing immediately. And the torque is really coming on an amazing way. For the R18, BMW produced the biggest ever made boxer engine of their history. They are simply calling it Big Boxer, as never been as a huge cubic capacity boxer engine in the world as this one. The cubic capacity is 1,802 cubic centimeters, and as it is a retro motorbike, it's absolutely looking like an ancient boxer engine, so absolutely air cooled, or I mean air oil cooled, but the biggest part of the cooling is made by the air, and all the other parts are we can say very conventional, so not as the water cooled boxer engines produced nowadays. The fuel is coming from the rear of the cylinder and the exhaust is going out to the front, and all the parts are absolutely made according to that. They have to look grandiose, gorgeous. Just look at this part, the exhaust which is going out very long. It's a very thick one. Everything is covered with chrome. The cylinders head as well, and when they were planning the engine, the most important thing was not the brake horsepower, because it's only 91, which is not a big number, especially related to the cubic capacity, but the torque, it is much more important. But let's check it out while the R18 is moving.
Because the top torque of the big boxer is 158 Newton meter, which is coming at 3,000, but what is more important is then between 2 and 4,000 the torque is always above 150 Newton meter. So in all the RPMs you are typically using these types of motorbikes, you always have an over 150 Newton meter torque, and it means that you can really ride pretty fast with this bike. If you wish to lean it down even at higher speed, it's very easy, so you don't have to fight with the handlebar. It's really very easy to lean the bike.
One of the very important design solutions is the shaft drive itself, which is totally opened, so they didn't cover it at all. It's looking really gorgeous when you are watching it just simply in standstill position, or for example when somebody else is riding with the R18 and you can see it from the outside how is it moving when the bike is rolling slow, and when you are just on your knees beside the bike and watch down like this and check this open shaft drive from the upper part, and you can see the mirror picture of it in the fully chrome covered silencer. It's simply no time which is enough to watch this beautiful part.
The bike has 3 different riding modes. So far we were testing the roll, which is, we can say, the normal street or cruising mode of the bike, but it is called in the case of the R18 roll. Beside this there is the rain, where the act of the motorbike, the throttle response is a little bit lighter and softer. But which is much more funny, there is the rock mode, which means now I activated it, that the acceleration is much beautiful, thanks a lot. So the acceleration is much harder, the sound is even nicer, and the whole bike is behaving really more aggressive, and it's a much bigger fun to ride with it. So let's rock and roll!
It's a piece of vehicle history that the engineers of BMW found it out and developed the first telescopic forks in the motorbike vehicle history. It was just in that time when the original R5, for example, was born, and the engineers and especially the designers of the R18 wanted to give back the looking of that era's telescopic forks. Absolutely, that's why we cannot see anything from the inside part of the telescope itself, so no chrome, nothing else. absolutely back parts and absolutely covered everything. The only technical parameter we know is that the travel of it is 120 millimeters, and honestly it's working pretty well, because you cannot really feel the road mistakes, not even the negative, not even the positive ones. So this part is working pretty comfortable, and also it's very easy to ride the bike with it. In the age of the R5 in 1936, still there was no rear suspension, but here of course we have one, but it's absolutely covered. It's put into a hidden place under the rider's seat. And just because of its position and because of this R18 is really a low built and very long cruiser motorbike, that's why the rear suspension travel is not too long, it's 90 millimeters only, and maybe this is the only weak part of the suspension, because when you get really big road mistakes, the big negative and the extremely big positive road mistakes are really hitting the rider's back. So it's worth to look where you are riding when you are in the seat. The dashboard is very classical and pretty simply. The most important part of it is the analog speedometer, but in the bottom of it we can find a very we can say discreet liquid crystal panel, which has a lot of informations. Beside the gear indicator, we can see, we are not going to the setup of the menu now, but we have an overall kilometer counter, a daily counter, which is always becoming 0 in the morning. Then we have the average speed, the battery, the date, the average consumption, the permanent consumption, the exact time, and the RPM counter. So we can see the RPM of the big boxer here in a digital form as well. The brake system is built up from 3 absolutely the same brake discs and calipers or pistons, sorry, as well. So all the 3, the 2 front and the rear brakes have 300 millimeter discs and 4 piston calipers, which is very demonstrative, especially in the rear section of the motorbike. But it's absolutely clear why they did it, because the R18 is a very long and very low built cruiser, which means that the effectiveness of the rear brake is very important. By the way, we have an integrated brake system, partially integrated, which means that the front brake is acting to the rear one as well, but the foot brake is acting to the rear 4 pistons only.
No physical power is necessary, and the whole suspension and everything is working so nice that it's absolutely, we can say it's a game to ride the bike and not a fight, to lean it down, to keep it on the road in the curves and things like this. One more thing beside the leanability, what you have to take care of is that when you make a harder braking, then on the fuel tank you simply cannot keep your body weight very easily, because it's too narrow, so it's not a very good position to keep your body. You can keep with your legs here maybe. I try to show you braking. Nobody is behind me at the moment. So you, at the end, when you make a really hard braking, at the end, as I found out, I keep some body weight on the handlebar, even if I want, even if I don't want. So we have to get accustomed to it, but the whole brake system is working absolutely properly with the 3 brake discs. The only problem is, or not a problem, but typicality, that the beginning of the handbrakes using, so it's a partially connected brake, so the front brake is acting on the rear brake as well, but when I pull the brake, the front, the first part of the front brakes lever is maybe a little bit too soft for me, so it seems that it's not going to stop the bike, and when you reach that amount, then the brake force becomes absolutely enough. So it really, on a short way, can stop this big weight 345 kilogram brake motorbike.
The seat position is absolutely typical to the big cruiser bike like this. The only thing which is different is that the foot peg is positioned pretty much to the rear, and the reason of it is absolutely well seeable because of the cylinders, because the big cylinders of this big boxer, it's simply not possible to put the foot pegs anymore to the front. Just that's why to act the rear brake or use the gear changer lever, we always move with our feet under the cylinders and pretty close to the frame itself. But anyhow, it's a pretty comfortable seat position. Especially because of the very wide handlebars, and it's very easy to ride the bike even in the curves because the steering power is very low, and so all the part of it is very easy to ride it. Even the smaller U-turns are surprisingly easy with the R18. There is only one thing that you have to take care of, that when you make a U-turn and you turn the front wheel, absolutely to the limit, then the outside handlebar is going to be so far away from you that you will really have to move after it. Even the smallest things are very important from the part of the designers. For example, the key of the R18, just have a look at it. It's absolutely looking like the fuel tank, the whole form of it. The cap where you can refuel the R18 is here a small BMW logo. So everything is absolutely nicely and well done made. Of course, this key you don't really need to ride the bike because this is only radio thing, but if you want to close the fuel gap, then you have a key which you can be open, and if you want to lock the steering, then this one can be used as well. All in all, what kind of motorbike the BMW R18 is, it's very hard to say any kind of words after which you are not going to say that BMW bought me for a lot of money, but this is not true, unluckily, because if you sit to a BMW R18 and try it, then the bike is going to buy you as well. Especially if you like the cruiser style, to ride a good cruiser, and the behavior and the style of the very old BMW Boxer engines, because this package is a very good mixture of these two things. If you liked our review, or if you like the BMW R18 just as I liked it, then please push a thumb up on it. In the description under the film you can find a link where you can donate us. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe for our channel and watch our previous contents as well, and thanks a lot that you were enjoying us.